Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Hilaal Live. My name is Luqman Shadrack from the Cape Town studios. Jummah Mubarak to you and your loved ones. I trust you all had a wonderful Friday. It's Friday. We do What's On. We tell you about things that are happening in and around our beautiful city, our beautiful country. And first up, we have a production that's happening at the Baxter and in studio, marketing manager of the Baxter, Fahiem Stellenboom. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very good to be here with you. I'm especially happy to be with you this evening because we have a special guest.
Absolutely.
From one of the productions that's currently on at the Baxter. And I thought it would be good to single this one out. It would be good to, whenever there's work that I think we need our community to talk about and we need our parents and our young kids to experience, then it's worthy, bringing somebody from that particular show onto this show.
Great.
And we have such. We've got one of the performers. We've got the character. She plays the mother, and she's one of my favorite artists in South Africa. Brilliant. She's just such a great actress and just a lovely human being. So
thank you for arranging that. And joining us via Zoom now is the actor in the play called Expelled, Charmaine Weir Smith. Charmaine, good evening and welcome.
And Fahiem.
Thank you so much for affording us your time. I know it's about time where you've got to be on stage as well, so we're not going to try and keep you too long. But for those that don't know about your career, Charmaine, give us a bit of history. How long have you been acting on the stage and various other productions that you've been involved with?
Well, shall we say a couple of decades on the stage, and we'll leave it at that. I got my start in the Performing Arts Council days with NAPAC, and before I moved up to Johannesburg. And stage and live performance is my primary love. But I also did more than a decade on various soap operas. So Isidingo and Generations and Scandal. So I think I've got a fair amount of experience on both stage and film and television, but my first love is always live performance. It's always theatre.
Stunning. It's always an adrenaline rush, I can imagine, as well, that you get from a live performance. Some of the big names that you've worked with locally, have you worked on the international stage as well?
Yes, I mean, I shot a movie for Netflix a couple of years back with Jamie Dornan, and from the various sort of 50 Shades thing, we did a war movie together. But locally, our talent is so extraordinary, and I've been blessed to share the stage with people like Michael Richard and Sheila Holiday. And now in this production with Anthony Coleman, who plays my husband, and Nicholas Hutting, who's a young up-and-coming actor who plays our son.
Okay, so the show itself has a very special message for audiences who come to watch it, but more importantly, it's a message that's plaguing our communities, our society now at the moment. Give us an overall synopsis of this current production called Expelled.
So it centers around a family, a husband and wife, and they have this teenage boy who's about to write matric. And when we meet them, the marriage is already in crisis. The marriage is already in some place of disconnect. And you realize that my character in particular has a social media addiction. And particularly an addiction to Facebook and living through other people's lives and not necessarily being centered and grounded in her own life and her own marriage. And then there's another layer that's added because the son, something inappropriate about the son, is posted on social media, and this threatens the possibility whether he can even write matric, whether he will be expelled, and in turn unearths so much for this family. And the interesting thing about the way Rosalind Butler has written it is that it's actually a very funny play. When it starts out, it's a very, very funny play until it's not. And isn't that the best sort of theatre, that you laugh until you don't, and then you a couple of hard-hitting truths come your way. So far, the response has been extraordinarily positive and amazing. And I think it's because this is something that affects all of our communities.
Charmaine, I have to tell you, in all my years of being at the Baxter, this response that we've had to from audiences, and not only audiences, but people who are in the know. So in other words, the peers, other actors that have also been performing for a long time. I've never had this kind of collective, immediate response where so many of the guests at the opening night, for example, took it upon themselves to take to social media, to Facebook specifically, and some of them saying, I'm doing this because of the content of the play, that they have praised this production. And it really is, I mean, it's a play for our time, right, Charmaine? I mean, it's so very much for now, you know, and families are going through this, you know, you watch families sitting at a restaurant and not a single one of that family member is talking to anyone, you know, they're all on their phones kind of thing. So all that kind of loss, this is takes it even further in this exquisite story that Rosalind has written, but it is relatable. And I think what was done, which is also very clever, is to bring that humor in. And Charmaine is very good at performing humor. She's very funny, you know. So that, but I think you put it so well. Sort of, it's so funny until it's not. This is that moment where it stops now, because now this is. And how many times don't people go through that within their own families, you know, with their kids?
Charmaine, how do you prepare for a play like this? Because, you know, with having subliminal messages in a play like this, hard-hitting, that affects communities all over the country as well, how do you, you know, research and prepare yourself for a role like this?
So, Lukman, I'll tell you something very interesting. I actually am not a person who's particularly involved with social media. My daughter and my very close friend Renata Stuurman made me open an Instagram account a couple of years ago because they said, you're ridiculous. You've got nothing, no way to profile and expose your shows. So I was very late to social media. But because we had a year to develop the script with Rosalind, and Anthony and I were brought on board as performers a year ago, I decided to do some research, and I opened a Facebook account under a pseudonym. And I thought, okay, let me see what all the fuss is about. What happens? Can you really fall down a rabbit hole, a spiral of Facebook, and lose hours of a day? And oh my hat, I completely went on that journey. And so part of my research was actually allowing myself to go into that space and allow myself to be enveloped in the world of social media. First of all, you start off following, you know, whatever, decor and travel and health tips and all the stuff that you're interested in. And the next minute somebody else recommends, or the algorithm recommends. And before you know it, you've lost 2 hours of your day.
Correct.
So just from a research point of view, that was absolutely fascinating to me. And then with regards to preparation, I think it was such a blessing that we were invited, Anthony and I were invited to be part of the process of script development with Rosalind and Craig, our director, from about a year ago, because I feel like I've had a year to sit with this character, to sit with this mother, and to just find the nuances and the complexities, because a mother's not just a mother. A mother is a myriad of complexities, and at one time fear and anxieties and joys and hopes and dreams and aspirations and neuroses, and then her own baggage. So I had to find all those layers. So I was very fortunate. I had a substantial amount of time.
That's amazing that you actually, you know, did that research as well, and obviously prepared you to think differently when, you know, going into character. The other performers, characters in the show as well, what are some of the maybe off-production conversations that happen? I mean, is it something that this conversation continues even when you're not on stage?
Absolutely, and we're very fortunate. We're a very close, tightly knit group. There's only 3 of us, and we absolutely take what the audience says after the show and always discuss it. Because your greatest review is always sitting in front of you. If somebody's had a meaningful experience that night at the theatre, and then they take the time and they wait for you afterwards, it's so wonderfully significant and meaningful for us as performers. So we will remember if somebody has said something, and then we'll discuss it afterwards as a cast. Wasn't it amazing when this person said that? I've had a couple of women already coming up to me, women in their late 40s, 50s, saying, oh my goodness, I'm that person.
Wow.
I'm addicted to social media. I don't know where reality ends and fantasy begins. So those have been interesting conversations.
Well, that's going to be me next week. I'm going to come around and have a look at the play, and I'm going to wait for you after you finish and ask you all those questions or statements as well. But just to just acknowledge the work you do.
I think also what is important is that it's a message that's both important for that parent or that mom who recognizes that she has this addiction to social media, but also then the worry of the kids. Going down this rabbit hole, as you put it so well, that is a worry. So by the way, Lukman, they're all from Joburg. They are here in Cape Town to do the show. It's very nice to welcome our Joburg colleagues.
So happy to be here.
Absolutely.
Cape Town showing off.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
been one beautiful day after the next.
Nice.
We're having the best time.
Yes, but for the Joburg viewers, you go to the Market Theatre after your run at the Baxter. You are there at the Baxter until next Saturday, the 2nd. Of March, and then you go to Joburg. What are the dates in Joburg at the Market Theatre?
We're in Joburg from the 7th of March to the 31st of March at the Manny Manham Theatre. And just to touch on what Fahim's just said, for me, it's vital viewing for anybody who's got a teenager and for teenagers.
Right.
And the young people that have come have absolutely lapped it up. We want families to come. Families, I think, Fahim, if I'm correct, it's 14 plus age restriction.
I see, correct.
Okay.
But we want parents, we want communities to share this with youngsters as well.
Great. Charmaine, in closing, is there any other message you would like to leave our audience with? Maybe just to encourage them to come and have a look at the play, but more importantly, for those that would like to get into your career, that would like to express themselves more, what are some of the advice that you would like to leave us with?
So I would just like to say that this is a brand new South African play, and I think that people who love theatre should always come and support our work, our local playwrights, our local content and words. So that's thrilling to be part of a new South African production. But just in terms of our industry is based on excellence, and there's no point in being part of this industry unless you're offering the very best version of yourself.
Nice.
And part of the joy of working at the Baxter is that the bar is so high and we're always taken care of so well, and everything is done properly.
Brilliant.
Properly and well. And I can't tell you what a joy that is when you work at a theatre like that. And I can imagine that the audience has the same experience. They come in and everything is just seamless, beautiful, and effortless.
Stunning.
And it's just lovely to perform in a theatre like that.
From the play happening at the Baxter right now, Expelled, Charmaine Weir Smith, thank you so much for affording us your time. All the very best with all your performances. And we look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Have a great evening.
Super.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right, that's the play happening at the Baxter Theatre at the moment, and we've got a little clip that we'd like to play where the production is happening now at the Baxter. Have a look at this.